There we go. I think we're live.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our remote meeting. This kind of a decision made kind of safer for everybody for the time being. That being said, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Has everyone had a chance to see this evening's agenda? Yes. Sweet. If we get a motion to approve this evening's agenda as presented. I see Tracy. Move it. Can I get someone second it? Pearl, all in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Any declarations of interest this evening? Nope. 4 delegations presentations. I don't believe we have anybody unless I know somebody knows something I don't. All right, number 5, the minutes from the previous meeting. Again, I love the attention to detail on this, Karen. This is great. The upside is you don't miss anything. I'm hoping everyone has had a chance to go through it. There is a lot there. We did talk about a lot. So if we can get a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Everybody's on 2 different screens.
Tracy, yeah.
Tracy, make the motion. Second.
Yeah. I'll second it.
And second by Karen. All in favor? Motion carried. Alrighty. On to the items for this evening. 6.1 is a lot of follow-up stuff from the last meeting, and I see Matthew. Did everybody get to see the email Matthew sent out with the notes?
Yeah.
Want me to go through that, Matthew? Do you want to run through it quick? Hear you, Matthew.
It's completely up to you and how you want to do that.
Alrighty. I think it's pretty straightforward. Maybe the digital Main Street application, I'll switch that off to someone when I get down there.
Okay.
First is the town checking into the lighting options. I don't know if you saw it, but the town found a few websites we can look at. Funny enough, the Decralight site, I actually ended up talking with Haley at the Brockville BIA about them. That's what they used for their little chip wheels or whatever, or no, anchors they have downtown on their lights. I'm assuming we'll go kind of maybe go through this and find some possible options and cost. Teresa?
Thank you, Kevin. I know I wasn't present at the last meeting, sorry, but I did read the minutes and it did make reference to this, but it didn't give a whole lot of detail. So I was wondering if I could get some kind of understanding as to what, personally, I just love the lighting, the tree lights as they are now. And I'm wondering if I could just possibly get an understanding as to why there's an option to change it.
Well, there seemed to be a lot of conversation last time in just regards to just changing it up. I don't think it's necessarily about getting rid of the lights, but your lights just do one thing, and we're kind of just looking to see if there's other options for lighting downtown. And that's about it, really. It's just a thought.
I think there was concern that it was doing some damage to the trees. Yeah, I think there was some concern around that.
I think that would be the case if the string of lights were on the trunk of the trees. But anyway, I just often hear comments how pretty Prescott looks all year round, lit up. I think I won't speak for Brett. He's here, but I think there's issues of not having them installed, that they fly a little bit, if they're not installed properly. But I do get a lot of feedback that it looks very, very pretty all year round. So that I just wanted to have that noted if I could.
I know there was conversation last time too in regards to some of the trees and how some of them look like they're kind of dying. And I don't know if that was related to that or not. Do you have any insight on that one with the trees?
Who are you asking, myself? Oh,
Well, we've got a lot of trees that are very unhealthy down there. Even if you look at the ones that look like they're healthy, take a good look and there's a lot of dead spots in them. The lights have been on some of those trees for probably going on, what, 5 years now. Some have been replaced, some have been redone, but a lot haven't. They go out all the time. I'm not saying they don't look right, but I think there's got to be a better way to deal with this. And I think and we do have a resident coming forward to council at the meeting on the 8th of September who has some ideas for trees. Matt and I have talked about this on a number of occasions, as I believe other members of council have as well. We've got to come up with a streetscape idea that kind of makes sense down there, because right now we've got a hodgepodge of different types of trees. A number are unhealthy, and a number, if not all of them, are not properly located. I mean, you've got trees down there that aren't tap rooted or whatever it is. So they're not in a situation where they're going to thrive. So I think that has to be looked at again. There's got to be a way to address a lot of these issues and make the downtown just more appealing overall. We do have a number of trees that are ailing, and we've got to do something about it. Matt talked about an option that he's looking at with Phil Burton, with regards to like a potted tree idea that's like a larger than what's on Water Street. We won't get into the details of it today because that'll have to come back to council at some point and BIA when we have more information. But we are looking at different options there as how we can address some of these issues. But I thought the lighting was actually in reference to something like we talked about looking into catalog options for whether it's an anchor, a lighthouse, whatever, something to actually be an accent and provide something a little different for the downtown. I said, I've never been the biggest fan of the Christmas lights downtown, or whatever you want to call them, because they go out all the time. They're constantly out for days. It's just, it's an ongoing issue. And I just don't think at the end of the day, they look that great, but I'm fine with, keeping them as long as we do something with the trees beyond it, because we've actually got lights hanging on some pretty awful looking trees down there now. So it just needs some attention, like everything else. I think we just need a little more finer attention to detail in the downtown. So there'll be more coming on that, though, as Matt's looked at some potential options with regards to the trees. And I think we need to, well, the BIA needs to look at potential options for lighting in the downtown. This started with a conversation about Brockville's anchors. I thought that lighthouses would be an interesting idea for the town, but that's up to the board to look at and decide and determine if we've got the money to do it and how that works. Because these would probably be anywhere from $750 a piece to $1,250, $1,500 a piece. We'd have to really look at it. It would be an expensive project.
And just from my thought is that we could, I don't necessarily think it has to be an either or. It could be a supplemental too. And so some of these are pole mount, and so you could, instead of having a banner, you could put kind of them lighted on some of the where the banners go. And so just an interesting thing. I think Decra Light has some lit pole mounts, and you can see, on the lower end, they're in the $600 range, and then they go all the way up to $1,200, and those are designed and whatnot. So as soon as we get into anything that's custom, the price really does go up from there. But just an interesting option for supplementation, and there's some options out there that we can take a look at and go from there. Really, I think what my perspective of just trying to get a little bit of feedback of what are some of the things that people like, and then we can delve into it a little bit further. So it's not necessarily that we're going to be picking the exact thing that we're going to be going with. It's just kind of give us some idea of what things look appealing and you think we could take a look at for downtown Prescott, and then we can kind of do a little bit more digging from there.
Okay. I do want to just add quickly to this topic, because I know it came up once and got everyone's attention just as regards to lighting. Remember Lacey's said sending out an email a while back in regards to putting some lights on the clock tower as well. So maybe we can just, if we can maybe just get a note on that, just that it's another option. And I know Teresa wants music coming out of the clock tower, so.
Yes. Thank you.
Now Lacey wants dancing lights to the music, so there you go.
So I think there's a couple things that we can do there. There's also projectors that do different shapes and whatnot, which I think would lend itself quite nicely to the clock tower, just because there are some kind of flat panels there. So those are a few things that we're looking into to be able to see if we can kind of do it from a couple of sides and being able to really light that up. A little bit more interesting than what we've done in previous years.
Yeah, well, I caught one picture actually on the Decrolite site, I think, that actually had colored LEDs at the bottom pointing up buildings. And there, of course, you can get all kinds of stuff to do programmable and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, just as an option. So the best thing for us, probably, if we can all maybe go through this stuff, maybe in the next meeting, if anyone's come up with something, we can kind of go with the design idea. This idea of lighthouses is actually, I think, pretty good. I think there would be, will cry bloody murder if we take lights out of the trees. Not that I'm saying we can't replace them, but which I agree, I like them too. But
I think if I can just pipe in, I think we're just looking for some direction as to where we focus our attention, because there is such a wide array from, you know, there's been a lot of images sent out by members of the BIA that range either from your pole mounted style, which is a more kind of simplistic option that would be very easy to implement, or if you wanted to do something broader, you know, have some more of a lighting experience kind of, you know, displays in certain areas of the downtown, you know, cascading lights in certain areas, banners. So we're just trying to get a sense of where to focus our attention, because there are so many options. And, you know, I would think maybe we could look at the pole mounted option first, as well as some lighting specific to the clock tower. And then maybe if the BIA wants to expand it into something even bigger from there, then we could look at broader options. But just trying to get a little bit more focus, because there's a lot of options out there.
okay, yeah, because the trees are already lit, so we can. What's everyone's thoughts on that? Nobody has thought. Someone's gotta
I
have
think that's a
thoughts.
good idea, that we should look through the options, and even if we narrow down ones that we like, and then discuss that going forward.
Do you want to narrow that down now?
I would say if we take that away so that we can look at the options.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
Just like we did with the benches and the smoke outposts, that sort of thing.
Well, okay, then that being said, we'll between now and the next meeting, if everyone can look through the options, and then we have time, I think, anyways.
Mhm.
And come up with which way we want to go. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey, Kevin, can you hear me? It's Ben.
Hi, man.
Hi, I was stuck in the waiting room for about 8 minutes, so I'm not sure what I missed. And I see my video's not working here. I had to, okay, so I will catch up after. Have you guys talked about the mural at all?
Not yet. We're getting there.
Okay, sounds good. Continue as you were. Hi, everyone.
No, we were just discussing the
Okay.
option on streetlights and going through the websites that Matthew sent out, just to kind of figure out some options. The next meeting will streamline priority.
Okay, thanks.
Sweet. Scared me. It was like an invisible man talking to me. Number 2, we discussed last time about approaching the Dragon Garden O'Heafe's in regards to murals. Of course, town is suggesting that one of us work with town to approach the two businesses to see if there's any interest. So we can select someone who would be interested in doing that. And I don't know who has time. I probably have time. I don't know who's the other person going out.
I would like to be involved in that.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll probably be Dana and myself, and we just kind of like to take a member of the BIA with us to kind of talk about the initiative and make that initial conversation and kind of go from there. So we can just, if Ben's the person, that's fantastic, and we'll get that rolling.
Awesome.
Ready? You good with that, Ben?
Yeah, for sure.
Ben's the man. Alrighty. 3 was obtaining a quote from the South Grenville Fine Arts Guild for murals. And obviously that would make sense that we'd have to find proposals and stuff for that. But obviously maybe we can come back to that after we have a space to actually put one.
Maybe I can add to that if you don't mind.
Sure.
So as most of you know, Chris is my window decorator. So we've done some stuff in their window today. I had a discussion with her about the murals. As you know, she's the arts teacher at the Brockville St. Lawrence High School or college. And she kind of threw out the idea, we're kind of talking about it. And she said, well, what we would be willing to do is to put that in the curriculum. The one thing she said, be really wary of painting directly on stone, because after 2 years, you have to bring them back to touch them up. And she said a good idea would be to actually paint on plywood. That way you can change it every 2 years based on the theme. And she said, all you would have to do is pay for the supplies and pay for the plywood and apply it. And my students would paint whatever theme you want and change it up. So it's just an idea. Depends on the budget timing. Obviously, she mentioned with COVID, it's really difficult. They're not in class together. I don't know how she's teaching art via Zoom, but they're doing it. So I just want to mention that as an option. It may be a good alternative. And I really like the idea of changing a theme every couple of years by putting it on plywood. She goes, it's going to last just as long.
There's definitely all kinds of options out there today, so that's for sure. So obviously we'll deal with the proposal part if we find a spot first. That would make sense to me, yes.
Yes, for sure.
Alrighty. Get my paperwork straight. Next is the digital Main Street application, which I've heard there's some joint issues, but I don't know a whole lot about all that. Dana, do you have more on that?
Sorry, was that me?
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, you cut out there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't have my hand
so
over the microphone that time.
we were taking a look at, there's a formula, as we kind of chatted about at our last BIA meeting, there's a formula, and there was some broader discussion throughout the county and the various townships and municipalities to see how could we best leverage the funding, because there was some concern that the amount of businesses in some of the various townships there wouldn't be an opportunity for individual townships to apply on their own, just from an admin perspective, the amount of eligible businesses. So we took a good look at the amount of businesses throughout the county that could potentially be eligible for the program, would be a good fit. And we've thought the best approach would be to partner in some cases. So we're looking at a partnership between the town of Prescott, Augusta Township, and Edwardsburg Cardinal. Between the two townships, they would bring between 20 and 30 of their own businesses to the table. And based on my review, at most, we'd be looking at about 50 businesses that would meet the eligibility requirements and be well suited to participate. So the rationale there being that if we partner together, we can get to that 100 business threshold potentially and apply for the 25,000 versus receiving, say, only 10 to maybe implement in Prescott, which would be problematic. It would be difficult to hire even a coordinator at that point to carry it out, because part of this money goes towards hiring a digital squad person to implement the program and actually approach the businesses and have those consultations and work with them on the various aspects. And hopefully at the end of the day, once they do an initial assessment, they would encourage the business to go on and apply for the digital transformation grant program, which would then provide them with some additional tools. So it's a pretty intensive program. And we also felt that there would be opportunities to partner on some of the resources like supplies and materials as well. So that's kind of where we're headed at this point. Just wanted to get a sense of whether the BIA is prepared to endorse this approach.
What is the criteria, Dana?
So the business has to be Main Street or C1, C2 and non-franchise. So it needs to be an independently owned. And it is, I believe there's an employee threshold. I think it's 50 employees or less. It might be 25. I need to confirm. I don't have it right in front of me. But it's really, and it's also geared to businesses that have a product or service that is suitable for online, either marketing, social media, website development. So there's a lot of businesses that just, wouldn't necessarily be able to take advantage of what's being offered through this program. So that brought us down to about 50 businesses that would make sense for participation. And then between the others, we could be looking at 90, 95 is the hope that we can get up to.
Okay.
I think there was a number of follow-up questions around what does it mean to service a business, and there it's kind of like the business retention and expansion program or process, is that you actually have to go through the entire evaluation with the business. It's not just making a phone call or anything like that. So it is quite extensive, and so that's why we started branching out a little bit. Also, we looked at the possibility of perhaps using the Spark program through St. Lawrence College, and they said you're not allowed to subcontract any of the work. So, which was a little disappointing because it's a very similar type of program that they offer and have expertise, but we did kind of explore all those options, and we think kind of trying to work with our neighbors is a good thing. And then at the same time, everyone's trying to do this in a coordinated effort. So again, and Leeds and Thousand Islands are working together on this, and a couple of other municipalities are working together. So it was a good opportunity where we're actually getting funding. So there's no financial commitment. It's a matter of resources. And one thing that we really would like to stress is that we need the BIA's help to really bring some of these businesses and to participation, and kind of reaching out to them, having that discussion, making sure that they're willing to participate. Because if we don't get to that threshold, then my understanding is they will claw the money back if we don't get there. So that's kind of our core. And then once we make those introductions and we get people on board and those evaluations start happening, then we would see that the coordinating person that's actually doing the work kind of gives a weekly update to all three municipalities as well as the BIA to say how things are going. What have we accomplished this week? What are we going to accomplish next week? Are we going to meet our goals and things like that? So it's really the core of what we're looking at is making sure that we can get people involved, and that's where the BIA is critical in this process. And we very much appreciate kind of putting some resources and horsepower behind that. We would be the lead agency. The other two, just because they're smaller and have fewer businesses than are participatory, but we would take the lead in this, so to make sure that we're getting to as many Prescott businesses as possible.
I think collaboration is the name of the game now. I mean, if we have the counties and everybody else doing the same thing and looking for the same type of person, then we can like piggyback on that as well. And I would definitely be interested in being the point person from the BIA to be involved in getting other businesses interested in doing it.
Will each township have a point person, Matthew?
Yeah, so I think the DECDev or community coordinators or developers will be the point person, and then we, because we had the bulk of the businesses, we want to make sure that someone from the BIA was really going to be intimately involved to help us with that recruitment, because we see that as being key.
Mhm. I think it's a good idea. So I guess we made the motion to apply, so we should probably make a new motion. We'd be applying in collaboration, right?
Yeah, that'd be great if you're comfortable with that. That's
Anybody else have anything on that? Any comments?
No, I think that's definitely the way to go.
Well, there's Ben. Well, it's a picture of Ben. All right. Well, how about if something prepared to make a motion? We apply for Little Main Street, which this is the service grant, right?
It would be the service squad.
Yeah.
I think.
In conjunction with Augusta and Edwardsburg Cardinal. Anybody care to make that motion? I don't know if anybody, my screens are all separated. There we go.
Yeah.
Anybody care to make the motion? Anybody? Anybody?
I'll make the motion.
Karen will make the
So,
motion.
I'll make the motion, yeah, that that we apply for the Digital Main Street Application Service Squad grant in collaboration with Augusta and Edwardsburg Cardinal on the Digital Main Street program.
You want to add Tracy being our point person? She's up
Sure,
for it.
and yeah, and with Tracy as our point person.
Alrighty, motion is made by Karen. Can someone second it? Tracy will second it.
Tracy?
All in favor? Motion carried. Hopefully that I think that'll be interesting, actually. All right. Next is I have the Prescott dollars, and I know the question came up last time about some financial support to the program. We aren't obligated to. We didn't really answer. I don't think last time. What's everyone's thoughts on that? Do we want to throw a little money into that? Do we have money to spend on that? Thoughts, anybody? Nobody has a thought? Nobody wants to give you money, Dana.
Yes, sorry, I do, but I was hollering at my husband behind us to turn down the TV.
Sorry, I got a smoke alarm going off in my house, so someone's burning something.
Do not feel obligated. That's not the point. We just know that this was left up for discussion at the last meeting. That's the only reason, that it was just, I think it was something suggested by a member actually. So we are happy either way. Don't feel obligated whatsoever. There's also lots of opportunities. I'd like to look at some other new promotions this year as well. So maybe we could partner on something.
I think we should, though. I think that we should give some dollars if we have extra money. I'm not sure where we're at in our budget right now. I haven't been to the last few meetings, but I think that it's a fantastic promotion. I see it in all the stores that I've been going in. So I think that as a BIA, I think that we really should participate and give something anyways.
How much?
So I would like. Mhm. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay. How much money do you have out, Dana?
Just shy of 7,000 have gone out. And that's for the total, I think there's 66 businesses on the list.
We have a total budget of 10,000. So kind of as we are moving along, we'll get to that 10,000 number. As I wrote, there is no obligation to do this. It might be something you want to save for the Christmas season to help with a specific initiative. So just keep that in mind, that there'd be lots of opportunities to revisit this. And certainly, I think we've been very pleasantly surprised with our rollout initially last year, and then continuing on into this year. That it's been a well received so far.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? Tracy, what do you think?
You say Tracy?
Did say Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
No, I mean, I think too that it would be great to participate in it, but I don't think that we need to make that decision tonight. And like Dana said, if they have other promotions, and if we want to make Christmas a fantastic thing this year too, it would be good to have some dollars to do that. I mean, currently we're sitting at about $10,000 in our budget moving forward. So, if we don't want to make the decision tonight, I think we could revisit it later.
I'm on both sides of it. I think at some point we should definitely participate with it at some point. But yeah, I'm kind of the opinion of holding up for a bit, and especially getting close to Christmas, if we take on any endeavors like last year, we might have a use for it and we can participate a little more at that point. Kind of my thinking. I'm not against participating. I mean, I want to participate. It's just, I think right now it's a bit of a when. Where we're going to spend all our money. We spent a lot of money last meeting, Pearl. I'm good to come back to it. I don't know about everybody else. Pearl?
Yeah, I'm good to come back to it as well. Yeah, that's fine with me. I would just like to see the program continue. That's all. Yeah. So, and if that's in a different way, like if we can do something at Christmas or another time, then that's fine too. Just I would really like to see it continue. I think it's a great program.
We'll come back to that at some point. I don't know if Matthew or Dana, if you just want to remind us at some point, or just keep asking us. Just ask us all the time. Hey, are you giving us money yet?
Well, and just to put out there, I'd love some ideas too. We did develop a selfie campaign as part of this to try and get some more dollars out there as a bit of a bonus to people who had received them. I haven't had anyone actually post a picture yet. So, I'm kind of looking for new ideas. Maybe I'm going down the wrong path. Maybe people are just too hesitant to put a picture of themselves out there. So I've just kind of started brainstorming. If anyone has some ideas, even for a new promotion that we can get out there as part of this, please flip them my way. Always looking for new ideas. If you're seeing promotions happening in other communities, send me your thoughts.
I think thoughts we have, that's for sure. I know I thought about one for it's kind of hard to say what's going to happen with Halloween this year, but
Oh yeah, that's coming up soon.
something in relation to Katie's pumpkin parade, even possibly having, like you can have a contest of design pumpkins and you give out dollars, right? As prizes, stuff like it's a little simple thing, but yeah, it was only thought in my head.
I'm going to cut you off there and add to it something else that we just started. It's a new promotion, like a Prescott Proud campaign. So we're going to be giving members of council Prescott Proud dollars that they can actually hand out to residents, businesses, basically anyone they see doing a good deed throughout the community, whether that's beautifying their gardens, helping someone across the street, you know, picking up some litter or some dog feces off the sidewalk, whatever it may be, just to kind of generate that kind of, you know, Prescott Proud mentality. If you see something that you can easily, you know, pick up or address, then do it. And maybe someone from the community will come by and reward you for it. So we're hoping to get those dollars out and about in the community and get some really fun pictures taken as part of that too. So that's kind of a cool new campaign that we're doing.
Sounds like a good one.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody comes up with anything, send it Dana's way, because yeah, it's a great promotion and it seems to be working well. And I have actually, where was I? I was in London over the weekend, and they have a similar program. I saw they had some, I can't remember, downtown dollars, I think is what they called them, but yeah.
So there is one opportunity that that just came to mind. So we are planning towards having the Fort Town Night Run. I believe it's September 26th, and they are looking for items to go in their swag bag. So if the BIA wanted to put $5 in each swag bag, then that's certainly an opportunity that you could help support, and then it's also getting a broader audience. So it's not necessarily just Prescott folk, but also hopefully to bring somebody back in the fall and in winter seasons. So just a thought. We also serialize each of our campaigns, so that way we can tell you know, where we gave the dollars out and where they're coming back to. So it helps us to be able to try and figure out how successful that was and where people are spending their money.
That's actually not a bad idea, Matthew.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea too.
Let's come back to that in the September meeting, because it'll still be before the night run. We'd also have to know just how many swag bags you're making up. And they probably don't know that yet. Well, maybe they do. I don't know. I have to talk to Mike.
At this point, their registrations is about 200 as of last week. And there'll be, you know, I'm probably kind of thinking somewhere in the neighborhood of between 3 and 4. So you'd be looking at a total investment. It was $400 and $2,000.
Yeah. Okay. You want to come back to that the next meeting?
That's great.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Okay. Next, I'm gonna, where are we at? 6-1. Well, we got 6-1 out of the way. I'm gonna skip 6-2 for a minute and go to 6-3, because I'm kind of following Matthew's notes that he sent. We'll come back to 6-2 in just a bit. I'm going to number 6 on Matthew's notes. The topic of speeding on King Street. Everybody knows they're changing the speed limit in town 40 kilometers an hour. And of course, I've seen the social media stuff being out there about it. There's a lot of concern that people are still going to fly down King Street. And I don't know if anybody has any suggestions about that, or I know Brett and I have talked about it briefly. And I've heard it from a few other people. First off, Brett.
You cut out.
Throw you out there for a second. What's that?
Can you say that again? You cut out. I didn't hear the last part.
See, I must have a crappy laptop. No, we're just possible suggestions about how to calm traffic downtown. They're changing the speed limit, right? But there's still concerns
Yeah.
about speeding.
Yeah.
So
So is there an issue though with people speeding on Main Street?
visually there seems to be. I've heard my being down there most of the time, I see people zip down there pretty quick.
Okay.
I don't know if is there numbers to the contrary on that?
I think from everything we've seen, it's more out of the downtown core that we've heard about and what we've measured, and so certainly speeding in the downtown core hasn't been something that's come forward on any regular basis. So we're one of the things that we are also going to do is kind of move some of the signs around for that currently show the speed, and so we'd be more than happy to put the one that's currently on the west end of King Street more down into the central area, and be able, it not only measures it, but also be able to just remind people of the new speed limit.
Okay, so that is collecting data.
Yeah, it collects data, and we pull it off every once in a while. Tells how many cars, as well as time of day, and exactly how many, what speed they're going, and that sort of thing. So yeah, we're more than happy to kind of move that around a little bit, and it's time. Right now it's only got a little bit of a light on it, and it's not showing the speed simply because it's under a shady tree. So it works for approximately 8 months of the year, and then just records data the other 4 months. So time to move it, and makes perfect sense to put it downtown. That way we get some data, as well as just reminding people to slow down.
Yeah,
What's the actual date? Sorry, what's the actual date of the change?
September 1st. So it's a Tuesday,
September
so
1st.
it keeps it away from a Monday morning issue. And then we started with social media posts today, as well as it'll be in the journal next week.
Okay.
Is there additional signage going up to what exists now?
So we, everywhere there's currently a 40 sign or a 50 sign, it will be switched over. It will say all areas. And then it currently in some of the community safety zones, it says 40 while lights flashing. So we're pulling on the while lights flashing sign off, but keeping the flashing lights just so it highlights. And so we're trying to be strategic in how many times we remind people what the 40 kilometers is. And I think by when we get there, it'll be a fairly substantial number of signs that will be saying 40 and in all areas.
Right. Is OPP doing any?
Yeah, absolutely. So
Thing on top?
they've been running some blitzes over the last month and a half, and reminding people not only you're speeding now, it's so September 1st it will be changing to 40. So and then they will have a significant presence throughout September and on a continued basis to get people used to that 40 kilometers and making sure they're adhering to it.
Right. You know when you're thinking of moving the sign, Matthew?
I think we can do it at any time. We can most likely move it in time for that September 1st or sometime that week, just because we'll have to reprogram the speeds in it so that it shows the right green, yellow, and red, and get that done and underway.
Okay. Is there any spot in particular that it would go, or has there been a discussion on that, or?
No, this is kind of the first time I've kind of considered it. So what we'll do is we'll take a drive down King Street, see where it's most appropriate. I was kind of thinking somewhere close to the LCBO, maybe the Royal Bank. And so that's way when you're entering that area that it reminds you to slow down. Coming from the other direction, you have Edward Street that you've already kind of probably stopped for. And so that's just a natural break for speed.
Okay. Does anybody have any thoughts on that, or?
No, I was just going to say too, in terms of data collection, I think it's really great to have it down there because then we know exactly, or we get a good idea of how many cars are actually going through our downtown, and not like when it was in the East End, they could have been turning up Edward and not even going through the downtown. So I think that's a really good idea for a lot of reasons.
It does measure in both directions, so oncoming as well as outgoing. So it
Really?
yeah, it does. So definitely we can report back. We'll probably give it at least 30 days to collect some information, and then we can probably report back in October.
I didn't know that. I guess I shouldn't drive so fast going the other way.
Exactly.
All right, that's good to know. I didn't know that. All right, thank you. Next is 6.4. I'm gonna go to 6.4 now. Yes. Discussion on the building upkeep. I'm following Matthew's notes from earlier. I know it's come up on a couple occasions about building upkeep. Matthew sent bylaw everybody. I printed mine off. I know it's been discussed before about it's mostly complaint driven, doing things. I think we keep coming back to the same issue. What do you do about buildings, especially their interiors look terrible? Like, I mean, I know as a business owner, if I saw that, I would run the other way. And I don't know what the BIA can do
So
aid in that.
I think there's a couple things. One, if it falls under property standards, then absolutely give us a call. If it doesn't fall under property standards, we are going to be working on our new property standards bylaw in 2021. So any feedback you can give us now is, now's the time for us to try to incorporate that so that we can get it kind of running. So, and I think that's next up. So probably sometime winter, spring is when we'll be tackling property standards. And then thirdly, I think if there's something that's detracting from the overall aesthetic of the BIA area, there's nothing wrong with the BIA board sends a letter out and says, it would really help us and the overall look of the town to be able to, think about how that exterior or what you see on the interior looks from the exterior. And so there's no problem with, kind of nudging people and just letting them know that it would really help the town overall to be able to have that cleaned up or addressed. So I think from my perspective, those are the three things that I would suggest, and we can try and move these things forward.
You mentioned contacting the building, well, obviously most likely the building owner, it could be business owner, but would that correspondence be direct from us?
I don't see why it wouldn't be, to be perfectly honest. And so everyone that's in the downtown area, either an owner of a building or a merchant, a business owner that is a tenant, is part of the BIA. So as I think it would be appropriate, in my opinion, and by all means, members of council or any member of the BIA, please disagree if you feel so. But I think it's appropriate, and we're all in this together to try and help and work and get to that next stage where we are happy when we walk down the street. And so anything that we can do to help that, then by all means. Coming from the town, I think maybe it feels a little bit more Hammer related, where I think coming from the BIA, it's pointing out from a peer that this would really help. So that's just my thought on it.
No, that's fair. I think, I mean, most of us, well, we're all businesses downtown. We can all agree that there's some buildings down there that just been left for so long that I think it's time, somebody starts pushing a little bit.
And we do have programs at the town, our CIP grants and whatnot, that, if they need help from that perspective, we're more than happy to have those discussions too. So, and that can be referenced in the letter as well. So yeah, it's, as I say, it's sparking that conversation. And if there's something that, the BIA, the town, the community can help to get that to look a little bit nicer, then that's a fantastic outcome.
Right. Anybody have anything on that topic? No. The silence suggests we all agree.
So I would suggest kind of vetting through what a letter might say, and just so that everyone's comfortable with it from the board perspective. And maybe you can bring that back to the next meeting and then start to kind of send those out and see how we can move them forward.
We can communicate that through email.
I would think so.
Yeah, right.
So I would say that that's kind of a direction that you, if that's the direction you want to go, then make a motion to that, and that over the next couple of weeks, you'll develop a template or a letter that speaks to how we can help.
Okay, do we, where's everybody? Now that he went and said that, he's making it all official. What do you guys think? Do you guys know of properties that could definitely use some attention? I'm sure everybody does. And Pearl's smiling. I know she wants to say stuff, but she's.
Yeah, there are a lot of spots downtown that need to be cleaned up.
I think.
I think this is a good idea. But we also have to be diplomatic about it as well,
Sure.
and send the proper letter that says, you know, that we'd like them to clean it up, but we're here to help them as well. So if there's anything that we can do by giving them the resources that they need, or even, you know, just a hand with helping clean up or whatnot, then, you know, offer them whatever we can, so that they feel that we're working with them and not against them.
I think this might be a good opportunity as well, you know, something, for example, window cleaning. Maybe if you get a number of businesses that are saying, you know, this is an area that I would like to address, maybe that's somewhere the BIA could kind of take the lead, find appropriate contractors and actually help, you know, the businesses. I would still suggest the businesses buy into it, but that's where the BIA could, you know, facilitate those kind of broader things that are happening in the downtown to really go in and clean up and beautify the broader downtown as a whole, versus, you know, relying on businesses to do it on their own. And then it becomes more cost effective. You know, there's a number of other things too, like partners on planters or hanging baskets, other flags, other things of the like, that the BIA could kind of be taking the lead on, still requiring the businesses to buy in and support it on their end. And the town could provide the available supports and resources as well.
So if you're comfortable with it, then as a group, you can decide on you know, what the letter says and that sort of thing, and then you can just send names and whatnot to Kevin, and Kevin and I can work on sending the letters out, and so that way we're both working towards the same goal.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, what's the motion to then to word I'm looking for? I guess draft a letter, building owners. Not requesting is not the word.
Highlighting areas of improvement.
Yeah, to highlight. We're highlighting areas that building owners could improve on. I don't know. Someone want to word that better? I'm going over my own tongue.
How about BIA draft a letter to property owners highlighting areas of improvement and offer areas to assist?
That's good.
Yeah, that can work. We can Where am I going here? Yes, that
I
works.
really like Dana's idea as well. I find that if someone takes the initiative to set something up and goes to each of the businesses, as a rule, most of them will buy in. They just don't either have the time or even think about, you know, buying flags or buying flowers or getting their windows cleaned or anything like that. They're just way too busy. But if someone were to just do it and then they were given a bill every month, then most of them are fine with that. I know Green Things did that a few years ago, where they went to all of the businesses and we all just signed on to get planters. And each year they would drop the planters off at the business in the spring and then pick the planters up in the fall. And then they would just send you a bill first thing in the spring. And most businesses bought into that. So I think that's a really good idea. It's just having one of us facilitate it. Or when I missed the last meetings, did we have any discussion on hiring someone part-time or like a coordinator or anything? Or we haven't discussed that?
It hasn't been discussed. There has been discussion about looking to start the process again in the fall, because we have to
Okay,
do the whole thing over again, but
right, okay. Okay. Because that would be something that would be great for a coordinator to do, is to set those kinds of things up. But in the meantime, maybe a couple of us could find some time.
all right. So a little lost on that one. First off, let's get just back to the motion of the letter. You got that down, Karen?
Yeah, I've got BIA draft a letter to property owners highlighting areas of improvement and offering suggestions in ways that we can assist.
Could even just
Matthew, we can-
subtly amend that to say and opportunities for partnership, if you felt like it,
Opportunities for partnership, yeah.
to kind of touch on Pearl's point of, you know, is there something we could do together? Well, my original point, but
The letter itself, do we want to just ideas online through email back and forth? Or are we gonna, because we obviously got the details figured out, or, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do that through email.
We're just
Yeah, it
wordsmithing,
doesn't-
so it's not
yeah.
making a decision, so that's fine.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be complicated, just
Yeah.
straightforward, helpful.
yeah, we're here to help. And
All right. So, okay. So, Karen, are you making the motion?
Sure. So I'll make the motion that the BIA draft a letter to property owners highlighting areas of improvement and offering opportunities to partner with them.
Anybody care to second that?
I will.
Pearl will second it. All in favor? Motion carried. All right. Topic, I'm just sorry, I'm following Matthew's list here. Just about the benches. They've been ordered. So
Sorry, did you say they have been ordered?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And was it 6 or 8 that were ordered?
8, I believe.
Yeah,
8?
so
Okay.
if I remember correctly, 4 long benches for of the 3-foot benches.
Mhm.
And then I was going to suggest that at our September meeting, we kind of do the walkthrough of King Street virtually and see where it makes sense. Or if you happen to be down on King Street and you see that one particular price might be a really good idea, then by all means. The other thing that we would like to try and do is co-locate the garbage cans with the benches to kind of help support, you know, if you're on the bench and having a bite to eat, then you have a spot to get rid of your garbage. So just a couple of ideas there. And and we can deal with that. That being said, there's long lead times on these things because they're a fairly custom bench, and so we have a few weeks.
So they'll be in for next spring then? Is that the idea?
No, correct me if I'm wrong, Dana. I think they'll be in for the fall, so we'll be able to switch out the benches.
Okay.
We'll be able to attach the smoking receptacles to the garbage cans. The one thing that I talked a little bit about with operations today is perhaps not putting the bicycle racks, changing those out until spring, just because it's adding one more thing to drive around during the winter. But other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape. We'll take the old ones to the operations yard and then spend the winter transferring them over into the planter boxes with we're gonna have to test a couple of options there, just making sure that they're stable and not gonna fall.
Was there a decision made on planter boxes? Were some ordered or?
I think we're gonna try and make the old benches into planter boxes.
Into planter boxes, okay.
And we'll just go through a couple iterations, make sure that they're gonna last and look good, and go from there.
Right. Will you be able to show us some of these ideas before they're finalized?
Yep. That will kind of be our winter project between snowstorms. That we'll come up with a couple of concepts and figure out how it looks.
I like it. That's awesome. All right. Now we'll get back on track. And thank you for sending those notes, Matthew. That was great.
So I just wanted to have that kind of follow up. Was that helpful? And if so, we can try and do that in the future. So just helps the conversation along and goes from there. But if not, that's fine as well.
I
That
found
was
it
helpful.
very helpful.
Yeah, great.
Great.
Well, it just went kind of in track with the agenda, so which is great. So we didn't have to wait till section 8 and then go through a whole bunch of stuff. Next, I got one that there's two I threw on here. 6.2 is I don't know if anybody has seen it, but it's called the Ontario by Bike program. Some have probably heard of it. I've talked about it with Rockville. And I think it's come up in conversations in the past, maybe not the specific program, but y'all probably know there's a lot of cyclists through here. Basically what they have is a website, and they basically promote your town as a bike friendly town. It would include a map of spots where you could bike, bike friendly businesses, accommodations. I do know I have been talking with, I believe her name is Louise, Tours Inn and the Colonel's Inn, I believe, are actually registered under them. So if cyclists are coming to Prescott and they're looking for accommodations, they go on the website and poof, there it is. But they don't have Prescott on there as a bike friendly town. And I don't know about you guys, I see a lot of cyclists come through here on the summer, not necessarily this year, but I just started seeing them in the past month or so. I wonder if there's any interest in possibly pursuing that. There is criteria you have to meet for them to do it. I think I sent a link out to the website. But Louise, who I spoke with, said she would have no problem having a conference call with us, discussing what would be needed. I think it's a great idea, especially in the fact that Rockville has it. Just adds to the tourism through the whole area. Kind of throw that back to you guys, see what you guys think.
I think it's a good idea, definitely for tourism. I think we touched on it briefly, like even with our Airbnb, the amount of cyclists coming down looking for storage for their bikes. They have been stopping in Prescott, maybe not so much 2020, but I think there's, even we see it here at the house, there's many coming through. It always depends on cost, right? So to be bike friendly and be on the website, it's not going to hurt. I can't see why it would. The friendlier we can be to any sport or any outside activity, I think is a good thing. Because we do have a beautiful waterfront, and if there are maps in there where they can go through, through the to be safe about it, I think it's a good idea. Is there a cost associated with it, Kevin?
Not that I'm aware of.
Kevin,
Well, you're right, Teresa. There may be some costs of. I think Ben showed once there was like bicycle repair kits you can buy. There might be things like that that you might need. Other than that, there's no membership, to the best of my knowledge, or anything like that.
It definitely requires a broader commitment. It's something that I've looked at many times in the past and would highly recommend it, especially with us exploring the passenger ferry opportunity up until recently. But that's the biggest obstacle, is you really have to have that community-wide participation. You have to have businesses willing to get on board and be registered and have the resources that deem them to be a cycle-friendly business. So I just wanted to clarify, like, it's not just a matter of the municipality signing up, because it's something that we have looked at in the past. It's something that I would suggest maybe the BIA really take on in trying to promote to the businesses and get them on board with registering, because they really have to do their part as well and have those things in-house that deem them as being cycle friendly. Definitely worth exploring though. We just need the buy-in.
Yeah, so Kevin, if I don't know, just recommend getting the exact criteria. I mean, then at that point we can move forward if we decide that it's doable and we have the resources to do it.
Okay. As I said, Louise is her name, and she said she has no problem having a conference call with us, discuss that. For all we know, we may have some stuff here that we don't even know about. My opinion, that'd be the first way to go, is talk with them.
Yeah.
We're not signing up or anything. They're just helping give the information that we would need to build it. And then, as Dana said, that's correct. You have to go to some of the businesses that you would require part of it and go from there. So.
Well, she must have some sort of program or something. Just get the criteria, then we can make a decision if we want to invest time in it.
I think the list of criteria is on the website. It's kind of lengthy depending on how they break it down. I think accommodations, restaurants, even facilities in the town, so like bathrooms, stuff like that. As I said, she's more than willing to talk with us and help through some of the details. So,
Well, I'm just thinking if the information's online, let's pick it from there, or just you can have a conversation with her on the side and report back at the next meeting.
okay. Did all you guys get the email I sent? I hope. If not, I can resend it, and you can have a look at the criteria. And
Well, now that we know a little bit more about it, yeah, I'll take a look.
Yeah, maybe resend the email.
yeah, I'll resend it here right after the meeting, and everyone just have a look at it and see what you think. It seems like a lot because of how they break it down. It's kind of repetitive, but if that's the case, then yeah, I'll send it right after the meeting. Does that work for everybody?
Yeah, that sounds great.
I think from a tourist standpoint, from tourism side of things, and even some of the, I've had cyclists stop by my shop, and I know I've seen them stop by others. So I don't think you can really lose with it, but
No, the more sites we're on, the better. And even the scuba divers, right? And I don't know what's going on. I think we touched on it a little bit. There's a property that was just sold. It is in Augusta Township, just right beside Doers. It looks like it's a scuba diving company that bought there, and you can see cars parked and they're doing scuba diving there. So, any website that we can be on is certainly going to help. So I don't know if he's going to set up a business there, but we're seeing a lot of activity when I drive by. Well, so yeah, I don't know if he's doing just some courses and stuff like that from his waterfront home.
I got the money, why not?
Yeah.
There's also another program. I sit on the Alzheimer's Society board for Lanark, Leeds and Grenville, and they have a program where it's called Dementia Friendly Community. And there's an opportunity for businesses to it's just a short training program, but to understand, recognize when somebody perhaps has a dementia-related illness and how to be able to interact with them in a productive and helpful way. So that might be another opportunity. And I agree with Ben, anything that we can do to make ourselves more accepting, more inviting, more known for that caring, compassion, being ready for bike tourists, that sort of thing, then absolutely, I fully endorse that concept. So, you know, there's other things that you can just with a short amount of training and some resources that you can get that certification as a friendly community to either biking, dementia, a number of things. So might be something that that we can tackle over the next few months, and then be able to offer that training or those opportunities to BIA members and to the community at large. And I think that's just a really nice, positive story to be able to tell people.
Yeah, that's a feel good initiative for sure. And especially being an Asian community, unfortunately, we are a bit of a retirement hub. So I think, you know, the next few years, I think that's a fantastic idea. I'd be all on board to get training for that.
Do you have is there a website for that, Matthew?
Yeah, I'll get some information on to the BIA, and we can set up some support for that.
Okay. I like that. And I'll send out that website again after the meeting. Cool. Last but not least, we'll move on to 6.5. This has come up on many occasions. I don't know. I sent an email off right at the last minute with a picture. There's always been some concern as to how to make the waterfront noticeable from the main street. And I don't know what you guys, first I'll ask you guys first. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? And obviously signage is probably key. I'll ask you guys first and then go from there.
I know at council, Kevin, we have spoke about this a few different times as well. And you know, we've talked about pathways and footprints on the sidewalk and that type of thing. I do really like your sign. That's in San Diego, is it not?
I asked Ben, he found it.
That's my last trip in Vegas. No.
Vegas.
Yeah, that's
of
Vegas.
course,
Yeah.
of course, Vegas. Yes, I knew I've seen it. Anyway, yeah, so you're right. Something that will just, I don't know, just, I love the planters, the big flower planters that are, you know, between the town clock parking lot and in front of the museum there. They're beautiful. So that draws the eye there that far anyway, but not sure. Thank you.
Yeah, they have something similar, I believe, on Preston Street in Ottawa, Little Italy, you know, welcome to, so it's sort of like an archway. There's different types. I just saw one, a friend posted one, it's all in stone, right? So it could be done different ways, right? But I don't think it'd be necessarily inexpensive, that's for sure.
No.
I'm just thinking, you know, well, I know you're going to mention it, Kevin, so I'll let you, but I think anything, it's always about flowers and signs, right? But everybody that comes, they just love it. Like the last 2 months, 4 people now that stayed over want to invest in Prescott. That's really exciting. And they're like, keep me posted if anything commercial comes up, we want in. It's exciting. Good news.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
reason I sent the picture, and I threw this idea to a couple people just to see what the opinions were. And the sign that you got in the email, if I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but obviously that's quite flashy for Prescott. But I kind of came up with like, actually I even drew it, but something like Edward Street from King to Park, or sorry, King to Water. Having a sign over that, but actually having an area, taking that part of the street. This is really crazy big thinking, just so y'all know. That part would solely be pedestrian. So you would not be able to drive down that. So it'll be blocked off, it'll be foot traffic. You can use the area for entertainment. I'm sure O'Heife's would love to see that. Vendors markets, not farmers market. Buskers, nice sign. I know this is big thinking, but I've heard for the past 3 years, I've heard it, how to separate it and make the water noticeable. And I think the only way you're going to do it is somehow, some way. You have a little sign if you want. It says Riverwalk Park, but I don't know. The street's so cluttered. I don't know if you'll see it. Again, I know I mentioned it. I did mention it to Brett and mentioned the possibility of logistics issues. And obviously this is not cheap. This would cost money, but that park is beautiful, and we should help people that's there, and you should be able to see it from the main street. And that's just kind of my thinking. I decided to put it out there just to put it out there.
I think I love the idea. I think it's something to explore. I'm sure there'd be a lot of pushback closing that down and putting it pedestrian. But at the end of the day, we can, especially with the building, right? The apartment going up, the more access, the better for people. But at the same time, if it's about beautification, I think we have to think larger. We have to look at the big picture. Bottom line, I can picture it myself, and it's not necessarily always big thinking. It's a sign. It's an opportunity for people to congregate. You put some music there with the speakers, and you have the fountain as your backdrop, like how Matt, it would be fantastic as you come down Edward and you see that overpass. So I'd be all for that. I think the opportunities are endless, but I think that it would be not an easy feat to shut that down permanently.
I agree, though. I think it's a good idea.
Just a couple of points. We've got an EDR, emergency detour route runs through the downtown wall. It's King Street, but shutting down permanently any streets like that would be potentially complicated, simply for emergency vehicle access. We all have seen how crazy it gets when the 401 is shut down. The arch is a phenomenal idea. I've always loved it. I like what Gananoque has on their borders. And actually, little known secret here now, but I was just reminded of it myself. I'd forgotten about it. Is my original concept for the sign for Riverwalk Park was an arch at the foot of, so it would be visible. It would have been down at the waterfront, but it would have been visible from the corner of King and Center Street by the clock tower. And it was very expensive. There were issues with, I think we had to move, is it a storm drain there and some other things. So it just didn't work. And the cost was extraordinarily high, even for where this was. And this is, I think would have been quite a bit smaller than what we're talking about as an archway entering into the Riverwalk Park area. I love the concept, but the thing I'll get back to is I think, it's got to be looked at from the other direction. We're not trying to take people from King to the waterfront. We're trying to bring people from the water to King's Water Street and the waterfront area to King. And the problem with that is we don't have enough commercial operating businesses on King Street to draw people in. Saturday, the downtown was, the waterfront was absolutely packed. There were tons of people at the beach, throughout Centennial Park. Catarinas was jammed. The waterfront, that the marina was jammed, the parking lots were completely filled. People were parked all over the grass. The town was just loaded with visitors. King Street itself, those core couple of blocks were, I'm not going to say completely deserted, but close to it. And we've got to build more of a commercial presence before we start, I think, really looking at this. That's the biggest challenge, and it's not just us, it's affecting small towns and downtowns everywhere. I keep hearing this about, oh, we need to be Merrickville, we need to be Perth, we need to be this, we need to be that. And yeah, there are definitely lessons to be learned from other communities, but I've been to those communities this summer. So I'll say it's an odd summer to be there, but I've been in recent years as well, and everybody's having trouble in their downtowns. So the apartment building, I think, is going to make potentially a huge difference. It's going to bring a lot of traffic and residents right in the downtown that will provide more of a market for stores to open and hopefully thrive. But we just don't have the draw on King Street to bring people up from water. We've got tons of people in town, but we've got to look at the commercial connections there, whether that is, advocating more to bring more people in. But to be honest, we've actually got development going on at virtually in all the usable buildings downtown. We've given CIP grants to a number of them. So there is development happening. But some of it's going to be aimed more towards residential and private, white collar type services. And that's not what draws the visitors in because they're looking for unique commercial experiences. We have a couple of those in Old Magic and Water Girl. Kevin's got the antique store now. We've got Quality Creation. So that there are a few, and it is starting to build up. Katarina has been a huge hit this year, but we've also seen the lack of boomers. The lack of the traffic there has been very dramatic because that kept a lot of people coming to King Street. And of course, now we're only seeing the only real traffic in the downtown for restaurants and pubs. Bobby's has got a little bit of its traffic back. Well, Heafy's has been busy on the patio. Indoors, I'm not even sure if they're open. They were kind of back and forth about that. I think there were some difficulties in getting reopened, but people generally aren't eating indoors in restaurants. And with the boomer situation, when they can get their actual renovations completed and do some work in the front, that could be a draw to the downtown. It could be a huge draw. But right now, the real problem is there aren't the attractions on a commercial basis. So I think there are ways we can kind of look at that, whether we do more promoted targeted events, maybe it's sales events, maybe it's maybe you do close the streets down a couple of times a summer now. Maybe we look at something like that. Does that bell mean my time is up? Because I'm happy to stop talking. But I just that's the challenge we have, and I think we are actually making some real progress. That apartment building, I think, is going to be a massive game changer. It's going to spark a lot more development in the downtown, and you potentially have, say, 30 new people living in the downtown with some disposable income. It's going to help everybody. But this is a challenging one because as much as I'd love to put in archways and dress things up, and I think we need to do some of that, I think we really need to encourage the commercial to make sure we have attractions for people so we've got something to draw them. And the other thing I'll close on is we need a full streetscaping plan. That's when I talk about with the trees, the lighting. Oh, there's the bell again. I'm really done now. The streetscaping plan for trees, for lighting, for archways, for whatever. Maybe we need to dream big on this, but I think we need a proper full streetscaping plan that takes all these things into account. Maybe you can have a special meeting of the BIA where that's the only topic on the agenda. We throw the ideas out and look for potential. Maybe there's some partnerships with the town. There's some things we can do, but I think we have to look at the whole picture and not just add here and there. One thing I will mention on the bike program, the one issue there that always holds us back is we don't have paved shoulders outside of town. Augusta's always been in favor of it. The counties have kind of been back and forth because there's a cost factor. So if we're going to embrace that, we need to approach the counties as well and see where they are with proper shoulders, because a lot of cyclists avoid coming into town on 2 because it can be dangerous with the lack of shoulders. But that said, I'm fully supportive of anything we can do to bring cyclists to town. But anyways, that's my main point is I think we need a proper full streetscaping program, looks at all of this, and we determine what the budget is, what we're going to go into. And I think some good things will flow from that. But that's a wholly separate, huge conversation that I think requires a dedicated meeting. Thanks, Kevin.
As I said, it's one of those dream big things and maybe work backwards from, you know, you kind of like an end game thing, but little bits here and there. Then again, I don't know, like I know Dana's mentioned before about a sign initiative for the town, so I don't know what that will all entail when that happens. Actually, since you're here, Dana, I'll ask you, do you have any idea about doing that at some point? I know you've mentioned it before.
That's something I'm hoping to get budget approval to proceed with in 2021, doing like a master signage and rebranding strategy for the town. And I would also completely agree with Brett. I think if we're going to do this, let's really do it right. Look at a whole new streetscaping plan for the downtown and all the things that go with that, right? The signage, the promotional pieces, the beautification elements, whether you wanted to look at traffic calming measures as part of that. But really, you know, have an actual consultant come in and give a really good look at the downtown and provide some good recommendations that we can implement. I think it's critical. Right type of trees, all those things that go with it.
All right, just writing something down. Yeah, that's probably a fair thing to say. Is there grants anywhere for doing this kind of stuff? Anybody know?
Harder and harder to find money for just your physical beautification elements. 10 years ago, OMAFRA was throwing money at this left, right, and center through their RED program, but they've really restructured the RED funding. So it's very geared to programs and initiatives and strategies versus your straight up, you know, beautification elements, whether it be benches, signage. They really kind of expect that municipalities, BIAs take the lead on that, and they'll support you through other programs, promotional initiatives, things like that.
The only concern I have is, I mean, some of these things, I mean, let's be honest, Prescott needs some big things, and Prescott's BIA doesn't exactly have a lot of money. Even if we expand a BIA footprint or get associates, we don't have, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars at our disposal like some BIAs do. So I don't know, like, I mean, I don't know how much we could do, because we can't do things in one shot. And it would be, if it was up to us, it'd be years for doing stuff. We just don't have the money.
It wouldn't be just BIA. This would be town initiated BIA support. So it's a collaborative effort with a lot of people. There would be a public input on this. This would be a major project. It would involve some significant dollars. We do have some big things happening in town though, because I don't want to let that go we can't be too negative about this. I mean, in the midst of a pandemic, we've got a $4 million apartment complex going up on King Street. The town has just sold almost $2 million in industrial land for significant new job creation and tax revenue generation. And there is more on the way there potentially that you'll see in the next few weeks. We've weathered this storm much better than I would say most communities have, knock wood. We've been fortunate, but you're lucky to be good and good to be lucky. So I think we've done well with that, and we've just got to make sure we leverage it and just keep it going. I say the apartment building is going to be a big thing. I think it is time to start planning for the next steps here, because there's a ton of momentum. Like as Ben said, there's a lot of interest in investing in town right now. And as long as we keep the positivity going, and we're looking at the future on this, and I think a proper streetscaping plan will only enhance businesses coming in. But this is a process. This will be a lengthy one. That's why I suggest that we start it with a BIA, do a special meeting that's just on this subject if everybody's willing. And then you take that feedback back to council. Council gets some buy-in. We all work together on it. We look at funding, we look at budget and so on. We'll be going into the budget process at town hall in the coming few weeks, basically. So, I mean, this is a good time to do this. So maybe we can roll something out for 2021 if the money is there and if the political will is there at council. I love this, and I think at the time is right to do it. We've got a lot of private interest, and I think we need to put up our own public dollars and do our share downtown to make sure that we're rewarding the individuals that are investing in the downtown and make sure they get good return on their investment. So I think it's all good. And Kevin, thanks for bringing this up tonight, because it's these are things that we've been kind of talking about tangentially for a while now. We keep bringing it back up, but I think we need to really focus on it if the will of the board is to do that, because there's some real potential here.
Oh, I think the board, let's be honest, we've been aboard for what, a year and a half, and probably really only doing anything for a year, just thanks to time and all that stuff. I know we got a board that wants to see things improve, so I personally have no problem on planning a meeting in the near future, if we want to start discussing it. I don't really know the processes of streetscaping. I've never really dealt with that, but we can definitely, I don't know what everybody else thinks about this, because it definitely needs to be done. And I mean, I don't know if some of what we're already doing is involved with that, like benches and stuff like that. I'm assuming that kind of goes in the category. Yeah, what's everybody else think of that? I don't think this is a bad idea.
I think definitely we need to get together and just brainstorm ideas, like just throw everything out on a board, what we'd like to see happen with the downtown, and kind of build from there.
And there she is. And Pearl wants flowers. I know that.
Matt, you had a
Nice flowers. Don't forget, nice flowers, big, nice flowers.
I want more though. Have you seen those flower pots down on water?
No, I didn't. I'll take a drive down tomorrow. I think Matthew wants to say something.
Where's
So
Matthew?
I think there's two things you can do. First, absolutely having a brainstorming session to just throw some ideas out there, see what sticks, see what starts to marinate and really come to fruition, or it boils up to be a good idea. The second is passing a motion to say that you would like to work collaboratively with the council of the town, and to be able to really explore streetscaping in the downtown and BIA areas, and be, again, focusing on the collaborative portion of that. So I think that would be well received by council, and certainly endorsed by staff. And let's see if we can try and put some money and resources behind this to first develop a plan that everyone likes. And I think starting with just some ideas to be able to give whoever we work with some of that, and then secondly to actually bring it to fruition through putting some dollars behind it. And again, it's not all on the BIA. It's a town BIA collaborative, and I think having ideas and concepts and being willing to work together is really the starting point and the key of what we'd like to try and drive, and so that we can build something that we're all proud of.
I like it. Anybody else? All right, so I wasn't expecting to make a motion out of that. That's pretty good. So motion to work collaboratively, just shouldn't speak. Work with town, how's that? Develop, we're gonna go with streetscaping plan. That would be the term I would want, I guess. Is that simple?
I think it's that simple.
I like it. Anybody care to make the motion?
Ben,
Ben's got it.
Who made the motion?
I will make the motion
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
for the
Ben's-
BIA to collaborate with the town regarding the streetscaping and set up some meetings to come up with some ideas.
Cool. Anybody care to second that?
I will. Or Tracy.
I don't know who won.
Doesn't
Pearl will
matter.
second it. How's that? He hasn't been here in a while. All in favor? Motion carried. It's called progress. So that kind of gets us out of this undetailed stuff. I'm gonna move on to number 7, financial report, which apparently we have $10,000 to work with, so I'm told. No, Tracy's got the actual numbers.
So the only change from last month is that we now have some revenue of the 29,000 because the tax bills have gone out. So that's good news. In terms of the furnishings that we've committed to, that worked out to about 12,500. We have our website renewal. So to date, expenses approximately would be about $18,443, which leaves us with about 10,000 moving forward. And then, of course, we still have our reserves as well.
Lovely. Spending money. Right. Nothing to add to that. Number 8, staff. I don't know if staff has anything to say. I think I probably kind of already went through it all already, unless there's something I missed.
Nope, we're good.
Perfect. Is there any new business? Anybody have anything they want to throw out there? No. Sweet. Well, I guess that's about it, unless somebody else has anything to say. You're getting a lot of shaking head. Wow. Great. Well, anybody would care to make the motion to adjourn? Who'd like to do that?
We're not going to spend the whole night here.
Well, you don't know that. I'll make the motion.
I
Make the
will.
motion.
Don't know who just said that.
We all did.
Okay, well, I'll name
Pearl, you
names.
said, Pearl,
that?
I'll say, Pearl, you made the motion.
I made the motion to
Pearl made
adjourn
the
the meeting.
motion.
Seconded by
I'll second it.
Karen. Alrighty. All in favor? Motion carried. This is it for this evening.
Great. Thank you. Have a good night.